Hello, everybody. Ed Meir here again, running for office still in 2nd District for the second position against Mr. Wilcox. What I wanted to do was talk a little bit about two things right now. One was the ballots are being mailed out early. I got an email from the Board of Elections, so keep your eye out for those. And two was to talk about the night and day differences between Mr. Wilcox and I. If you had a mechanic who you were taking your car to get that knocking fixed, and the mechanic would say, I don't know what it is, but leave it with me for a couple days and I'll see what I can do. And then you come back a couple days later and they say, couldn't do anything. The knocking was just too hard of a thing for me to fix. But then still sent you a bill. You wouldn't go back to that mechanic ever again. But for some reason, this is what we've been getting in the state from Mr. Wilcox, and people have been returning to him for over 20 years. I know I'm new to the scene, but I have a plan figured out. I have been a card-carrying Republican all my life, but I decided to run as a independent for a couple of reasons. One, I really think here in the state, we need an independent to really sit down at the head of the table and bring everybody together. And as an independent, you can find what it is everybody can agree on and be like, okay, as long as we agree on this, let's make this happen because this is going to help the people. Because right now what's happening is Democrats go to ask the Republicans to come to the table. The Republicans come. One guy says something that they want that the other side was strictly opposed to, and then the other side goes and says, and then they return with wanting to do something that the other side opposes to 100%, and then there's just a breakdown. And so coming in as an independent, it's like you can go and say, look, that's not what we're here for. You want us to do a bill for that, we'll do a bill for that, but this is for this. And when the other side does it, you say, that's not what we're here for. We're here for this thing that I brought you all to the table for. If you want to do a bill for what you want to do, we'll do that at a different time. And then you just put down the law on them. Okay, it's really not that hard to do. I mean, it's called being a leader. Now, I know within the Republican Party, and I've talked to a bunch of MAGA Republicans, that they want Mr. Wilcox gone. They actually wouldn't care if I took his place. Because one, I'm not pushing any weird agendas. I just want to fix a couple issues. When I talk to them about the hemp, which is probably the one thing most people go a little bit, oh, great, another hemp person. I actually talk about the industry and the market and how that will affect farmers and how this will be positive for the state. And then how the other states, once you get into a leadership position, once you lead, and look, we're in a Democrat state. Oregon's a Democrat state. California's a Democrat state. Let's just go and talk about like how people follow the lead. You see it in the Republican Party, you see it in the Democratic Party. Look at New York. AOC put out the Green New Deal. She talked about how cows were farting. We need to get rid of cows. So what does the mayor of New York do at the time? He goes and says, we're going to make it illegal to have a steak in downtown New York. Why? And he goes, oh, well, it's because, cows are causing global warming. Because that's what it says in the Green New Deal. Now, we can talk about that whole nother mess of times, and it was just the stupidity of a whole lot there. But he isn't a leader. That mayor was not a leader. He was looking for someone to lead. And he took the worst part of things that said, oh, yeah, I'm going to follow this lead. We're going to do away with cows. That's how they all are. There are no real true leaders in politics until someone steps up and says something, and then that becomes de facto leader. We can lead right now on the West Coast and say, hey, shipping labels need to be made from hemp. I mean, you don't recycle them. You can't recycle them. It's the glue and the silicone makes it impossible to recycle shipping labels. That's why, and I kid you not, go to your grocery store and look at the bottles of Tide. You'll notice that they don't have labels on them anymore. The labels that are on them are printed on a plastic with a special ink, and then they're heat molded into the plastic by a plastic. It's a plastic ink printed on an offset press onto plastic, that's put on a plastic bottle while it's molded to become part of the bottle. It's insane. I mean, and they do that, and that's how, so they can recycle it 100%. Because in the old days when they would do the plastic labels or the paper labels on the plastic bottles, you couldn't recycle that part of the plastic. Pardon me. I'm getting off point here, but it's all about marketing. And you're already hearing positives to be said here. So I want to do things. I want to make things happen. I have a plan to lower taxes for the small businesses, and I have a plan to lower taxes for the working class person. You know, all these projects that these big projects for infrastructure and mass transit, they're great, but they also should be being funded by a carbon offset. And carbon offsets are being bought up like no one's business. We could put out carbon offsets for all kinds of infrastructure projects and pay for it without having to touch a penny of taxpayer dollars. I want to go and fix the messed up green and renewable energy fields out here and put things where they should be at and kind of readjust what's going on. How I want to do that? Of course, carbon offsets. Let someone else pay for it. There are countries like Saudi Arabia buying up billions of dollars of carbon offsets right now. We could pay for this with carbon offsets. Look, it's oh come on. It's like, oh, people, I don't know how. Like, the problem is, unfortunately, I haven't been able to get into a debate with Mr. Wilcox because he's scared of me, because I have policies. He doesn't have anything. Like I said, he is the mechanic that you take your car to who can't fix it or won't fix it. And I'm the newcomer who's saying, hey, bring that car in here, and hey, how about I fix this other issue with your car? You know, it's just it's just there. The election's in November. There's not much to happen here except for the fact that we really need to make a decision. An absentee representative who hasn't cared enough to find funding for a student bridge in 20 years. Or you can go with a guy who understands why that student bridge is so important to so many people and cares enough to get it done. I'm sorry, I just shook my hand. I shook the wrong hand. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm such amateur at this. It's not funny. I know what needs to happen to fill the critical positions. It's a job fair. Yeah, we have to have a job fair, and this is something that's going to have to happen when you're not in session. You have to get people together, bring everybody together to make this happen, and that's going to be a nightmare. And that's something that Mr. Wilcox isn't willing to invest in because he doesn't care enough about the state to try to make it better. He doesn't care enough to try to market his ideas better or to fight. He's a sit back, write some bills that make things better for him, and that's it. Look, it frustrates me. The place I used to live at, the representatives, I was always able to get a hold of. I may not have agreed with their policies, but they were out there trying to make the state better and by their point of view. Right now we have a representative who doesn't care to bother. And that's why I'm running. Because he doesn't care. He doesn't want to care. It's just frustrating. But anyway, I want to thank everybody out there for watching the video. Good luck to everybody. And again, watch out for those ballots. They're coming out in the mail soon. Talk to y'all later. Bye.